Hello, welcome to Encik Horror Storytelling Podcast, where real paranormal encounters are shared and the unexplained comes to life. Before we begin tonight's story, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube, follow my TikTok, and check out my Spotify at Encik Horrors for late night storytelling. If you have any stories to share, DM me on my TikTok. Now, let's get into tonight's encounter. So this story has been sent by one of the listeners and is titled The Incident at Home. I was at home with everyone except my father, who was working until 7 p.m. In Islam, it is generally advised not to go out around this time because we believe there are bad spirits wandering around. Since it was the weekend, everyone else was already home. My father returned home from work around 6:45 p.m. Because he arrived before the prohibited time, he stayed outside for a little bit to fix his bike. When he finally came inside, a package he had ordered online arrived coincidentally. As I picked it up, I noticed a very unusual smell, but I didn't say anything and simply went back inside. After he entered the house, my mom and I noticed some dirty footprints on the floor. We wondered where would they come from and initially thought they were my father's. However, we realized he had been wearing shoes and socks, and since he removed his shoes before entering, the footprints couldn't be possibly his. We ignored the mystery for the moment and just wiped them away. My mom then went into the room to hang out and talk with my dad. Suddenly, she stepped out to check on the kids. While she was out, she heard him whispering to himself. She went back in and asked, "What's wrong with you? Are you okay?" She was getting frustrated because he had been whispering since she had left the room. She assumed he was talking to a friend on the phone. He was sitting down, facing the toilet door, just whispering to himself. My mom kept asking him, "What's wrong?" Her voice full of irritation. He ignored her and continued to whisper. Then, he took out a cigarette and started smoking right there on the floor, making a huge mess. He began talking to himself and acting violently towards us. We were all terrified that we gathered everyone and fled the house. During this time, he had also asked my mom for a prayer rope. She thought he was going to pray, but he just laid it on the bed and left it there. We ran to a nearby car park and called one of his close friends. When the friend answered, he claimed that he could hear a female voice coming from my father's side of line. The friend came over immediately and looked at the situation and told my mother he suspected something had followed my father home, especially since he had been working at night shift the night before. Judging by the way he was moving and acting, the friend suspected he was possessed. We called our maternal grandmother and tried to calm him down, but he acted as he couldn't even see her. He began moving very weirdly, almost crawling. Finally, we called his father, which is my grandfather, for help. When we went back inside, my father just glared at us. Once everyone was in, he locked the gate and actually started trying to climb it. At that point, my grandfather told us to go to sleep because he didn't want us to see the procedure or whatever was about to happen. I should mention that he had actually read some Quran before this started. We briefly wondered if something came from the book, but since it's a holy book, we felt it was impossible for something bad to be sent through. And then my grandfather took his car and car keys away from him because my grandfather didn't want him to drive until he was okay. The next morning, he woke up very cranky. He was throwing things around, acting angry, and refusing to talk to anyone. Since that night, he doesn't drive at night anymore. Fortunately, right now, my father had healed and back to normal. This is why Malay parents doesn't let their kids play until dusk. Believe it or not, your choice.